Okay, so I have 5 minutes, and accessibility is a big nebulous topic, so we'll just jump right into it. If you could probably guess by my attire, I didn't anticipate presenting. Still a moment for the photo shot. That's my mom, so I'm trying to get bonus points. So a little bit about myself. I have up here on screen 4 images. The first one is a tennis shoe with the twisty laces, so 2 things from that that should give you an indicator of my age roughly, and also let you know that I have a learning disability. I had a lot of academic success, but I struggled with very basic things such as tying my shoes, and didn't quite master that until middle school. But regardless, I was able to be a first-generation college student. Thank you. Super cool. Hispanic American stuff, so good stuff there. I'm Tejano is how I identify. So Texas is awesome. Down here in the corner is me presenting a workshop, or facilitating rather, a workshop on accessibility and for a certification program that I developed for the Texas Distance Learning Association. So I like accessibility a lot. And then down here in the corner is me with my dog, Hemi. He's great, and I'm an alumnus of Stephen F. Austin State University. So the genesis, reviewing. So how did this all come about? What am I doing here? So someone asked me to review the accessibility of a product using only still images. And if you're familiar with accessibility, you understand that using a screen reader is important so that you can understand how things are programmatically assigned and how it behaves. So what I'm describing here is how I mapped ARIA design patterns to storyboard components, still images, and created a rough style guide and pattern library to foster predictable, accessible web experiences. And I'll go into that in a second. So who is this for? People that want more from their documentation, people that are documenting new and innovative web experiences, and people that are passing notes between designers and developers. So I'll just jump right into the lessons. The simple definition of accessibility, because I couldn't access any of the code, is essentially an accessible design tells you something that says, what is this and what does it do? That accessibility at its core is just telling you what is this and what does it do. If it does that, it's accessible. So some similar theories and concepts that you see in human-centered design and human-computer interaction is the difference between self-evident and self-explanatory. Technology should be intuitive and make sense. It should be self-evident so that the average user will know what this is and how to use it. When you can't, that's when we need to make it self-explanatory, and that's where good documentation comes in. So, documentation being self-explanatory. As I was reviewing the design of this technology, I started noting different hierarchy and uses of different components throughout it. How often do I see this search bar or this nav bar? Is it persistent? I'm seeing hierarchy, consistency, the names of these components. Essentially finding a label for every form. And then after that, I looked at the Web Accessibility Initiative's accessible design patterns and mapped how those storyboards progress based on what their expected uses are. So think about this. If you click on the search button, you expect to see your search results coming next, right? That seems pretty intuitive. But what about when it comes to unique experiences such as registering for a course? A little bit different, right? It gets a little more complicated. So the more better notes as long as you take a lot of great notes, you can essentially establish a style guide for your new product and a pattern library for that new product. This is kind of an early take where you can kind of see me taking notes on what do I call this component, what's its intended use to group information that can be moved into other groups. The industry terminology, they call it a feed or a grid, and then I kind of just checked out and see what are the expected behaviors. Is this component being used correctly in the design? And the interesting thing is I came to the same conclusions of the developers without even using a screen reader. So there could be something there. So here are some potential future applications of note-taking like this. Better note-taking for designers helps developers understand the context. So as the designers are creating these different experiences and flows, the developers have no idea how to code this to be accessible, right? So having good notes helps them figure that out. It creates a base layer open education resource, if you will. I have a higher ed background. So it creates a kind of base layer documentation that you can apply other skins onto. And you can have other departments say, okay, that's cool for that one, but I want to take it and apply my own flavor to it. And then lastly, the most interesting one I came across recently, it's just reading recreationally, is if we're looking at what this is and we combine it with what does it do, we're essentially talking about user experience. So what does that mean? Could that have potential applications if we're looking at expected behaviors and behavioral psychology, and could that be applied to machine learning and artificial intelligence in the future? So take good notes on your designs. Thank you so much for your time. Hope it was informative.